Configuring address, region, service objects and tags in Palo Alto firewalls. Hello everyone, welcome to the Palo Alto firewall training series. So in this section of the training, we will go through and understand the concept of object. So generally why we create object is to specify addresses based on names instead of addresses or subnets or maybe range of addresses. So let me go ahead and log into my central site Palo Alto firewall, this one. And we create some objects there. So the username is admin, the password is admin. So once you are logged in, you need to go to the objects tab, and here we can create different object types. We can create address objects, we can group those address objects, we can create objects based on region, we can create application, we can group those applications, we can filter them, we can create service types, and we can group those service, and we can create tags. So today we will go through and understand and create some addresses, address groups, regions. For the application group and application filter, we would have another session where we will go through app ID, and we will do this later, but we will go through service and service groups and tags. So so let's start with the addresses. Now here you can see I do not have any address object, so what I will do is I will go ahead and create one. I will click on add, and here you can name it. So let's go ahead and create one for my inside network. So let's say this is my inside subnet, and here you can give a description to it. So let's say this is my internal network, and here you can specify whether you are having a subnet with a mask or an IP range from something to something, or if you're having multiple subnets and you want to aggregate them, then you need to select the IP wildcard mask. We'll create one for all. And if you are having FQDN, fully qualified domain name, you can select this one. So in this case, let's go ahead and create one for my internal subnet. So the inside network is 192.168.1.0/24, the CIDR notation. I'll come back to the tag. I'll come back to this one. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create this inside subnet. So now this inside subnet object is created. Now we can go to policies. Now here we can specify that address object. So let's go ahead and create a new security rule. So I'll click on add. So let's name this internet, and the source zone is my inside. Now here in the source address you can add, and this inside subnet is now available. So instead of typing the address here, you have the address the objects that you create based on subnet or host address or range of addresses, or based on wildcard, or based on maybe let's say we will talk about region, or maybe FQDN. You can select that. Destination zone is, let's say, outside. So I'll leave the rest default, and I'll say okay. So now here you can see in the source address only this inside subnet is now allowed to go to the internet, maybe, or any type of a security rule that you may create. Now you may have multiple subnets here, maybe 3, 4, 5 subnets. So only 192.168.1.0 is now being allowed based on the security policy that you have created. So let's go back to the objects here. Now let's go and create another one, and let's name it C band. Let's say this is top management, MGMT, let's say, and the range, this time we will create an object for the range, and let's say the top management or the C band is using the address range of, let's say, from 50 all the way to 1.80 maybe. Okay, so we'll create another one for this, and we may create a security rule and specify that C band here, top management, let's say, the inside source zone is inside. The source address is, in this case, let's select the C band, and destination is maybe, let's say, anything based on the security policy of the company or a rule that you want to create. So outside, and allow, or maybe deny, or whatever you want to do with it. So let's create another one for the wildcard. So this time you may so wildcard maybe a couple of subnets, or maybe aggregated. Let's call it aggregated, aggregate subnets. So now here, instead of selecting IP net mask or range, we will select IP wildcard. So we need to specify the wildcard here. You can also see the example. You would have to say, let's say, if it's from 192.168.0.0. So now here you can specify the wildcard. Wildcard is like, if it's 0, it matches that octet. If it's turned on, it ignores that octet or bit specifically. So I'll click on OK. And let's also create an FQDN address object. So let's go ahead and create one for maybe Facebook. And here now we select FQDN. Now here it would not be resolvable right now because I have not provided the DNS of this Palo Alto firewall. So if I say resolve, it would not be resolvable. So for this to work, what I need to do is I'll have to go to device and services here. So what I'll need to do is I'll click on settings, and I'll have to provide the DNS address here. So let's provide a DNS of this, or maybe you can a secondary, we will call the Google DNS address, and I'll OK. And I'll need to change, commit the changes first. So for this to work, so I'll commit, and I'll commit the changes. So we need to go back to the policies, sorry, the objects, and let's wait for the changes. Don't worry about the task or the commits or the changes or the saves. We'll come back to everything later on. So let's wait for the changes to commit, then we will create an FQDN address object. Now if we create the FQDN address object, it should be resolvable. So let's say facebook.com this time. Now if we click on resolve, so now I am able to resolve the v4 and v6, both of them, the addresses. You can select it. It's showing me only one IP address for Facebook, but if we try to resolve google.com, I'm seeing a lot of IP addresses, v4 and v6, both of them. So I'm not sure why is Facebook using one IP address here. So we will select this, or maybe use the address, or maybe we can use the FQDN. So I'll click on OK. Now here we can go to security, the policies, and we can I'll create a security rule. Let's call it FB, and the source zone is, let's say, inside. You can specify those 4 objects here in the source. You can also specify it in the destination as well here. So let's go ahead and specify it in the destination. So I'll go ahead and check this as any as the source, but in the destination I'll select the outside zone, and the destination address I'll go ahead and select the FB, and for the action I'll go ahead and drop it. Don't worry about the reset, client reset, and drop and allow and deny and reset both. We will come back to this later. So I'll go ahead and deny this and OK. So that's how you create simple address objects. And let's go back to objects. Next we have is address groups. We can group multiple address objects here. So let's go ahead and create a new address group. So I'll click on add. Now let's name this maybe general, whatever name you want to give it. So we have two options here, static and dynamic. I'll come back to dynamic later, but because for dynamic you would have to understand tags here. So first I will do tag, then I will come back to dynamic. So now I will go ahead and select static. So here you can browse all the available objects, or maybe you can nest as well multiple groups. If you have created other groups, you can nest one in another, or you can browse it and then add it here from here. Maybe let's go ahead and add C-band and inside subnet. So, or you can add from here as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll remove this. Sorry, I'll remove this and click OK. So now this object general is being created. We can specify this in the policy security rule. Next, let's go to tags. Now tag is nothing but it's a label that you attach to an object, or maybe colorize your object. We have two defaults. Let's go ahead and create a new one. So I'll click on add. Now here you can name it, or you can select the objects that you have created. I've created 3 zones here. So let's go ahead and colorize my inside zone. So I'll colorize it and select the color here. Maybe let's go ahead and select green for this. You can comment it here. So I'll click on OK. I'll go ahead and create a color for my outside zone as well. So I will colorize that to as of red and OK. Now if I commit the changes, if I save the changes, now if I go to my policies here, I should be seeing my inside zone shown in green and outside zone in red. So that's that would basically distinguish or give you a good look that something is being sourced from a green zone to a red zone. Now let's go ahead and create some more tags. So I'll create one for allow, maybe allow, and you can color it anything. Let's go once again, let's select yellow this time for allow. Okay, and I'll create another one for block, and I'll colorize this to as of red. Let's go red, not red, orange, maybe let's go red. Okay, and now here if you come to the policies, you can attach those tags to your permit to allow or deny traffic. So let's go ahead and click on tag. Now these tags are available. So I'll select allow here. Okay, and you can select allow for the other one, security rule, and for the deny you can select deny. So this rule is basically denying. The FB rule, security rule, is basically being denied. So what I will do is I will go ahead and select block for this and OK. This is very good if you are having hundreds and thousands of security policies or rules, and based on color it would easily be distinguished that what traffic is being allowed, or what which rule is being blocked or denied. So you can easily distinguish that. So I'll commit the changes, and I'll go back to the objects, and let's go ahead and create some other. Let's go ahead and create for my, this time for my HR users, let's say HR users, and I'll colorize this to as let's say maybe red orange this time, and OK. Now I will go to addresses, and I will create a new host address this time. So let's say this is my, let's say HR user 1, and I'll copy this because I want to create another one as well. So this time I would specify only an IP address that is, let's say maybe 11, and I'll put that in the tag of I'll select the tag here. Now these tags are available right now. So I'll select the HR users and OK. So the HR user is created. This tag is the HR users tag is attached to it. Now we go to the address groups here and we create a new address group. So I'll click on add. So I'll let's say call this HR. And this time, instead of select the static, I'll select the dynamic, and I'll attach the match criteria, and I'll click on match criteria, and I'll select the HR users here. And now this dynamic object is created. If you click on more, nothing is shown here. So for this to show the user one, you would have to save the changes. So I'll click on commit and I'll save the changes. So now once the changes are saved, if you click on more, that HR user one will be shown automatically. So let's wait for the commit to be to finish. So I'll click on more now. Now you see the HR user object here. So what the beauty here is that if the next time if you go and create new HR users, it would automatically get added there. And this time we create for HR user 2. I will specify the IP address as 1.12 this time, and I'll attach it to HR users and OK. So I'll need to commit the changes. Commit. Now once it is committed, we will be able to see HR user 1 and user 2. So let's wait for the commit to finish. I'm getting this virtual system one warning because I'm allowing something in one rule and denying it on another. That's why I'm getting this shadow rule error message. So just ignore it right now. So if now we click on more, I should be able to see HR user 1 and HR user 2. So the beauty in dynamic address group type is that you may already have created security rule allowing something or maybe denying something, and then you just only need to create that object and attach that tag to it, and it would automatically deny or allow that user. So the next one we have is region. Now here we can create objects based on region. So every region or country has its own address ranges, public IP ranges that are assigned by IANA, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, and IANA has RIRs, Regional Information Registries. So for Asia they have APNIC, Asia Pacific Network Information Center, and for other regions they have other RIR. So let's go ahead and create an object based on region. So I'll click on add. So let's go ahead and create one for, let's say, North Korea. Now here you need to know the latitude and longitude geolocation detail. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll need to go to Google and find the latitude and longitude of North Korea, the exact location, geolocation on Earth. So latitude and longitude. So I'll need to copy the latitude, and I'll have to select check the geolocation and paste it here, and I'll also need to copy the longitude and paste it here. So if in this region, or right now it's one country, but you can also go ahead and find out based on city as well, or maybe based on multiple countries. You can do that as well. Or in this region, maybe you wanna say only specific address ranges, subnets. You can add it from here. So you'd manually have to add that. You have to know that, find out, and then you can add it. So I'll click on OK. And now in the policies, you can select based on the region that we created. So let's go ahead and click on any one of them and go to destination. Now here I can define that North Korea object that we created. So now here maybe for the action you want to say I want to deny this now. So the top management would not be able to go to this region now. So that's how you create object based on region. So if I come again here and go to destination again, so there are predefined ones as well based on every country. So let's say maybe you wanna block or deny based on China as a region, so you can select that as well. And let's go back to objects. So that is region. The next we have is services. So here in the services you can create objects based on ports and protocols. Now there are two predefined ones, HTTP and HTTP service, and they're using TCP as a protocol, and these are the port numbers. So let's go ahead and create a new one. So I'll click on add. Let's say maybe I'm using a custom application inside my infrastructure. Let's say whatever the name is, let's go ahead and say ABC, and you can give a description here, and here you can define whether it's using TCP as a protocol or UDP as a protocol or HTTP as a protocol. This is basically for voice and video on the stream control transmission protocol. It's a transport layer protocol over IP. So let's go ahead and select TCP, and here you can define the port number that it is actually using. So it may be, let's say, using 1099 as a port. If it's using multiple ports or a range of protocols, let's say you can define it like this. Let's say it's using from 1099 all the way to 1100, or you can also define by comma. You can see here as well, it's defined here as well, explained here as well. So you can say comma, it's also using port 1200, let's say, and you can tag it here, and you can also define the timeout details. It would inherit from the default TCP timer, or if you can override it, let's say for the TCP default is using 3600, for the half close it's using 120, for TCP time wait it's using 15 seconds. So let's go ahead and select inherit from the application, from the header itself, the TCP header, to inherit the timer from there. And here you can tag it if you wanted to. So I will go ahead and create this. Let's go ahead and create one more. Let's name this, let's say DEF this time, and TCP, and this time let's say it's using 1300, and okay. Now here you can create service groups as well. You can group those services that you created. I'll click on add. Maybe let's say this is my custom apps. Maybe I'll call this custom apps, and you can select those that we created, ABC and DF. So I'll click on ABC and DF, and okay. Now here in the policies, let's go back to policies. Let's go ahead and create a new one, and let's call this custom apps, or my internal apps, whatever. So the source is, let's say from inside, or maybe let's say this time I'm allowing the outside, or maybe DMZ. So I'll remove this one, and a source address any, destination is inside this time, and on the service and URL categories, so I will go ahead and select the service that we created. We can select ABC or DEF, or maybe custom apps, the group that we created. And for the action, I will go ahead and say allow. So the intention would be that from the outside, the public network traffic for those two applications should be allowed. So I'll go ahead and click OK. So that is how you create objects, address objects, address groups, objects for regions, based on service and service groups, and that's how you create tags. Thank you.